Hi, Anne. We're so happy to have you talking about resetting our homes for fall. Happy fall.
Happy fall. Happy
How,
hello Thanksmas, as they
yeah.
say.
How are you feeling about transitioning to this season?
Oh, I'm so excited. I have been preparing a pumpkin patch for the past 3 months just so I can time it right and get the pumpkins ready. So I've been geeking out for months now.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love it. That can't be easy to do in LA.
Oh, actually, you'd be surprised. The climate actually lends itself to pumpkins very easily because it's dry and it's very sunny. And I have very fertile soil here where I live. So it works out.
I
Well,
love
that is
it.
a commitment. I mean, that's really
It is a
preparing for
commitment.
fall.
It is a commitment.
I commend you. I salute you for being very committed to preparing for fall
Thank
months
you.
in advance.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm already seeing my colleagues post about fall, but I'm resisting the urge until we get to at least late August.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about setting our homes for fall. And in that, I think when we transition in the seasons, we really want to transition to this place more of warmth and like a sanctuary. We want our homes to feel like a place where, for example, if kids are at school all day, they can come home and feel like it's this really restful place. Or if someone's at work all day and they are looking forward to coming home, or maybe even you work from home. But when you go out from your office, you want to enter something that feels restful and peaceful. So,
Mhm.
what are some of your tenets for making a space feel like a sanctuary?
Ah, the lighting makes all the difference for me, no matter what season or what atmosphere I want to experiment with. The first thing I do is adjust the lighting. So for fall specifically, of course, you want the warmer tones, but you also want at least three different points of lighting in each room. So it could be something as simple as a desk lamp and then a floor lamp and then your ceiling light, or even like LEDs to highlight a shelf or something. Different points of lighting really create that ambient like feeling that we associate with coziness and safety. And I think at the end of the day, when you want to wind down with your cup of, how do you make it? I guess wine. With your little glass of wine, then it'd be beautiful to just turn on the ambient lighting and just soak in the atmosphere that way.
Do you have certain lights that you recommend?
Ooh, I don't know how applicable this is to other people, but I just bought this really cute astronaut shaped light that projects the whole galaxy onto the wall. So it's perfect for movie nights. Like if you want to have movie nights with the kids, a easy way to spice it up is to just buy something cute like that on Amazon or something. I don't know. It's like 20 something dollars. And it just creates this whole new atmosphere that is so fun and different and just transports you into a different dimension almost.
I
Yeah,
love
we
it.
have some
The
of those at our
astronaut light.
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. We have some, and they're
Oh,
good for
you have
dance
it.
parties. Well, I don't know that the light
Yes.
itself is shaped like an astronaut, but we have the project the stars on the and move
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah. So
Um,
it
mhm.
makes a difference. It's just so fun to see your space in a whole new light.
What about light bulbs? Because I know that different light bulbs can give different warmth or
Yeah.
non-warmth. What do you
Mm.
recommend if you're trying to create that cozy sanctuary feel?
I recommend at least 3,000 is kind of like my the place that I go to for like the perfect warmth without searing my eyeballs. So if you just have like 2,700 to 3,000 K lighting, I think it create the perfect space.
Can we talk about Edison bulbs for a second? Because they're beautiful, but they really don't light a space well. So, what do you do there?
um, you know, for me, lighting is not so much about getting it to like light up everything where I can see everything. It's more for the feeling of it. So if I want ambient lighting, I'm usually in one spot anyway. I'm not walking around trying to do things. So definitely don't worry about the functionality of it so much as what kind of warmth it creates and if it contributes to the vibe that you want for your space. But of course, if you need to be doing something, I wouldn't turn on ambient lighting for it anyway.
Yeah. So having
True.
task lighting match the task.
Yeah,
it sounds like.
exactly.
Okay, let's talk about more things you do to set your home up as a sanctuary.
Besides that, I think I like including a lot of soft textures, and you could do that easily with pillows and throws. You don't have to go big with all new furniture, of course. That's just not practical for a lot of people. So what we do is we generally switch out the candles, and we create that fall scent throughout the house, and that already just makes you feel like you're transitioning into a different season. Little things like that that you generally won't think makes a big difference, it actually does. So a little bit of thought goes a long way. And yeah, that's how I do it. Next thing you know, I'm going to be changing out all of my plants into things that are more warm toned, and of course using the pumpkins for my pumpkin patch to do various DIYs. But I think the spirit of fall is just so undeniable that at the moment you see a pumpkin in someone's house, you know right away that they're preparing for a transition, and yeah, it's not as difficult as some people might think.
Yeah, I am all in on fall. I am like, it is my favorite season. I love it so much.
Yeah.
And I am the same way. I'm like, bring out every pumpkin, every leaf, every scent,
Every leaf.
I mean, literally like every throw, every cozy, anything. So I'm with you on that. I was actually on the Peloton this morning, and Callie, who I do my workouts with a lot, she was saying she even switches her pajamas. She even has pajamas for the seasons. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it.
Ooh. You see,
for
that might be a Washington thing, because we can't switch out our pajamas until like the dead of winter. Then we're like, okay, now it's cold enough.
Yes. Well, I mean, she has like themed, pajamas for every
I
season.
love
And I'm
that.
like, okay, that's next level. I love it,
So
Callie.
fun.
I love it. Okay. How do you invite others into your home in the process of designing a space?
Oh, how do I allow others to speak into the design, or how do I host others in my space?
I would say, how do you allow others to speak in? Let's start there. Like
Uh,
when there's multiple opinions, for example, like I'm
mm,
thinking lots of throw pillows, and my husband might be thinking no throw pillows. How do you invite other people? Because like for our home, we have 6 people who live here, and I want everyone
yes.
to feel like this is their space.
Yes, that is the hardest part about designing for roommates or family members, I would say, because everyone has different tastes and everyone has a different need as well. And you, as the, person in charge of designing, you have to take everyone's needs into consideration. I think with me and my husband, it definitely helps to have separate spaces within the home. Then we can kind of get our needs met more easily. But let's say you have to share like the common room, for example, like how do you make that meet everyone's needs? To us, I think the easiest thing to do is to create elements of each person's desires to reflect in that room. For example, what I need is inspiration. So I can't just walk into one of our rooms and see like the bare minimum, which is what my husband typically wants. He wants the bare minimum and nothing more. That to me doesn't inspire me. It doesn't make me feel like it's a safe space where I can be free to create. I feel restricted when I see just the bare minimum. So a compromise would be to create minimalistic decor to go along with the bare minimum that he asks for. That way, That way I can be inspired with my DIY and not overwhelm him with the look that I want. So
Mhm.
I think I take it as a creative challenge. If you have different family members with different tastes, it creates this challenge for you to kind of meld it all together in a way that you could be proud of and in a way that impresses those you live with as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, this has been a challenge in our family for sure. We have
Mhm.
different opinions and different needs in common areas.
Mhm.
And not every family has a designated space for each person. So
Yes.
like coming up with ways to compromise is important.
Yes.
Okay, so the
Yes.
second part of that question, how do you then create a space with other people in mind if you
Mm.
are wanting to host people, for example, in the fall? What are you thinking through as you design a space with others in mind that might be coming from outside your home?
Mm, yeah, so definitely more of a shift of my focus on public spaces, such as the dining room and the family room, rather than our private bedroom spaces. But for those spaces, I think the best thing to do for us would just be to set up an environment that caters to parties and food specifically. So we would have like utensils ready to go and just functional things at the ready, as well as baskets and a lot of the trays that will just be laid out ready for those who bring their like little potluck items to put down on. So I think just creating a space that is ready to receive the food and the warmth that comes with all of these holiday parties is the best way to go.
I like that.
Hmm.
Just putting a few things out that shows that you're
Yes.
ready to receive. That's
Hmm.
good.
Well, it also gives people a clue, like you're giving a visual
Hmm.
clue of this is where you put your things. So in that awkwardness, sometimes people can
Exactly.
feel awkward when
Yeah,
they're
they're like, where
arriving.
do I put this? But if you make it extremely clear, then they know where to go. But also it's that like tension between giving and receiving, because as the host you're always so used to giving, but I feel like the true relationship and the bond that happens is when there's a reciprocation of the giving as well, and when you show them that grace of receiving,
Hmm.
then it allows them to contribute to the parties that you're hosting. And it feels like everyone has a bit of ownership over this. And that's what family gatherings are all about.
I love that. So they put their thing down and then they pick up a drink, because when you put a
Yes.
drink in someone's hand of any kind, but we can also, I really like it when we do themed drinks with the seasons, because then that also communicates the season that you're in. So that
Mm,
coziness of fall comes in a drink that feels like fall. So it maybe has some apple in it or some
mm,
cinnamon or, some of that coziness that
mhm.
I think there's just, I love playing on the senses in that way with the
Yes.
seasons, that it doesn't have to all be visual, that we want to be in other ways portraying the season, whether that's through food, like with soups and, things that are more
Mhm,
warm, and the warm homemade breads. And then, the apple drink or things like that, that also communicate,
mhm.
oh, it's fall. Yay.
Yes. Yes. And an easy way to do that as well is to just put a simmer pot on with all the fall spices and use it in a recipe that's also edible, so that after you don't have to throw it away, it becomes this like really fall spicy tea that you can serve to everybody and the whole house will smell incredible.
So what do you put in yours?
I typically go with oranges, like orange slices, and cinnamon sticks, apples, things that would make for a really tasty drink as well as smell good. So I go the sweet route, not too much the spicy route.
Yeah, me too. So, what about, I'm always thinking of in the fall, part of creating that feeling of warmth, and this is my sanctuary, my safe haven. It's that balance between functionality and how we set things up systems wise, and then
Mm.
aesthetic. So we want things to look good, but we also want them to function well, so that there's not soccer cleats and football cleats strewn all over. And, homework all over the tables when we're trying to get dinner on, right? So there's this balance of like, how do we do that?
Yes. Well, the answer to that is in one word: basket. There are a billion different functions for baskets. You can put shoes in them. You can put umbrellas. You can put your throw pillows. Literally, it is the one-stop shop for all of your functional and aesthetic needs in one. And I have I have baskets strewn all over the place during fall and the holiday season when everyone just comes over, and I have a lot of things to hide, but I also want them to look good in whatever box that they're hiding in. And I bust out the billion of baskets that I have in my garage, and I put one in every space. And if people don't know where to put their things, I just direct them to the basket in that room. I'm like, just go to that basket.
Yeah, so that adds texture, like you said.
Yes.
And then it can also have a seasonal feel to it as well if you're
Yes.
rotating through. Do you tend to have a monochrome, like all the baskets are the same, or you mix and match and they all go in different rooms in different ways? How do you
Yeah.
approach your basket purchasing?
Basket purchasing. I purchase my baskets at thrift shops usually because there's always that entire aisle full of beautiful baskets that somehow people want to give away for very affordable prices. So they're all different, and that's the beauty of just using these more organic textured things, is that you can get a ton of different designs and still have that base cohesion that comes with the raw materials that they use to weave it together. So you can feel free to experiment with any shape baskets or even any color baskets that you want, because people are going to know what it is. And there's that like common denominator between all of them. They are baskets.
How do you aesthetically pull together so that it doesn't look like there's mishmash things everywhere? Like for example, right now I'm seeing behind you that all of your file systems that you have are white. And so it looks cohesive, it looks beautiful. And so do you have some tips on how we can do that so that things feel cohesive and not mishmash?
Yes. And this is a great tip for those who are designing with children in mind and people who want different looks for every room, is to choose a color palette that allows for different tastes. So for example, let's say I really like pink and my husband really likes navy blue. How do you make those two clashing colors work in the same house, right? So the answer to that is to go on your color palette scale and try to pick a pink or a navy blue that is within the same what they call color wheel. So you could go online and do that for free. Actually, there are a ton of free color wheels for you to create color palettes with. But in that way, if they're on the same color wheel, even if they're quote unquote contrasting colors, they will both be muted or they will both be vibrant, and it will complement each other. And that same cohesion will be sensed throughout the home despite you using different colors here and there.
And then do you choose a few neutral colors that you have throughout all the spaces, like white, for example? You have a lot of white behind you.
Yes. So I typically choose one hero color where I use as the main theme of that room, and I decorate with two other supporting colors. So three total: one hero color and then two other colors to add dimension to the space. But any more than that, and it becomes more busy to the eyes, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Some people really like that maximalist look. But if you want to keep your space just feeling more clean and organized, then I recommend going with a lighter color as the hero color, and then decorating with more jewel tones.
The jewel tones. I like
Mhm.
those. But is white your hero color a lot?
It used to be. And if you look at my office from this angle, it might look like that. But actually, on the other side, it's very, very colorful. So I start with white because it's a blank canvas. And it allows me to think of what other colors I like. But nowadays, I feel like my hero color has been green. So if you go into my other rooms, there's always like an accent wall with green, and then the rest of the room has browns and other neutral tones to complement the green.
Oh, I love it.
Mhm.
Are you doing different tones of green, or is it one green that's been your hero color?
Oh, different tones of green, but it's always muted or like sage. That kind of forest green is not too much my color, just because it's very loud for my space. But anything sagey or minty would do just fine.
That will do. That will do.
Okay.
Exactly.
Hero color. I've got a whole new thing to think about. I have never thought about a hero
What's
color.
the hero, Alex? In every room, who is the hero? Which
Mhm.
color?
No, that's helpful though, for those of us
Mhm.
who need some practical guidance in this area.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So, Anne, you talk a lot in your new book about how our external state and our
Mm,
internal state, how they impact each other. And
mhm.
so, can you talk a little bit about some of your thoughts around that?
Mm. It didn't occur to me how impacted we are by our environment until I actually moved out of my mom's house for the first time and realized that I was just so much more at ease and so much more creative than I was when I was cooped up in my childhood bedroom. And that new freedom really allowed me to explore different hobbies that I didn't even realize I had, such as home decor. I never was into that growing up. So that's the beginning of it, when I realized, my environment really shapes how creative and how safe I feel. And from there on, the more I studied interior design and home styling in general, the more I realized there was this metaphor that was going on between me rebuilding my life after the trauma I endured and me rebuilding a space that really served me. And that was kind of the whole basis for Forever Home, my new book. I kind of used this metaphor of building a house from scratch to portray how you can rebuild a safe life after the pain that you endured, from the new foundation on God's love to a new strong framing of boundaries to inspections, that self-reflection to make sure that everything that is in your heart reflects the heart of Jesus, and to the adorning phase, the fun phase, where you get to decorate your life with things that make you happy and inspire you. So it's been quite a journey to get here, as you can imagine, but I'm so grateful for all of it. And I think that God has truly redeemed every area of my life, and he reflects it in the physical space that I get to live in now.
So it sounds like you reference in your book maybe some hard things that happened.
Mm,
And so that's what you're referencing now when you say that there has been some trauma and you went through a process. And I think that's good for all of us to think of catalysts in our lives,
mhm,
that sometimes the catalysts that happen are hard, but new and good things can come from them.
mm,
So if there is a woman who's listening who maybe is saying, I need to turn a new page in my story.
mm.
I'm coming out of something hard, or I've been stuck for a while. How can you inspire her to take that first or second step in remaking her physical space as
Mm.
part of the process of rising up to meet the moment, as we talk about here on the podcast?
Oh, wow. I would definitely invite her to create a nook for herself in her space. I know a lot of times when we are recovering from trauma or something painful, it's hard to take on a daunting task such as redecorating an entire room. So really don't challenge yourself with that if you're in grieving process, as they say. But create a nook for yourself, just a little corner in the room where you can look forward to spending quality time with the Lord or time journaling with yourself. And for me, I have several nooks or several ideas that I can give. Let me search it up real quick in my book. I named them my place of peace, my place of hope, and my place of joy. And my place of joy is my houseplant wall.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. So I have this wall in my other room where I just display all of my favorite houseplants. And every time I look at it, it brings me so much happiness. Just being in the midst of nature, but also reminding me of my dad, who was such a master of his craft. He was an agricultural engineer, so he was all about plants. So you can create a place of joy or a nook of joy in your home. I also have a place of peace, which is my tea corner. It's my morning ritual. I can't start my morning without, making my cup of matcha and just slowing down in that way. And my place of hope is this altar that I erected, symbolizing the altar of Jesus that essentially saved me. And I DIY'd this like plaster cross artwork, and I just put it up on top of my fireplace. And that's my favorite place to go to read the word and to just do my devotionals. So you don't have to completely transform a space when you're first starting out. Just start with these little nooks and start experimenting with what needs you have and how you can fulfill that need with these physical places in your home.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's going through something big, and that's one of the first things that she did was she started redoing her space. And I thought, a lot of people don't make that connection. She did, but it is, those two things are connected. And sometimes one of the most helpful things that we can do is to revive something or change something so that it has a new feel, a new connotation. And I mean, it does impact how the internal, right? The external does impact the internal. And so for us to really think through that, and is there a space in your home to ask the question, is there a space in my home that for whatever reason is not serving me? So maybe it's painful. Maybe I just have been sitting with it in chaos for too long, whatever it is, it's not serving me. Then to ask the question, what can I do differently? And then the first step, take everything out and rethink it. But I love that you even put that on a micro level of tea, just the tea space. Okay, I'm going to create this little space, and that's my morning ritual that I do that has this connotation of peace to it. It's just a really beautiful way to think about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it took trial and error. It's because at first I didn't even know what I needed. And that's what a lot of these women experience, is that even if they feel like they're ready for a change, they don't know where to start because they have been so disconnected with their own needs for so long. And I think that's where the reflection comes in. It's just getting to know yourself better. And making time for that despite all of the distractions that you have throughout your day. Because at the end of the day, no matter who you're taking care of, what they deserve the most is the happiest and most capable you. And you can't give that to them until you make time for yourself, essentially.
Yeah. I love the idea of a place of hope, a place of joy, and a place of peace because, and on the small scale, because one, the small scale feels doable.
Yes.
It also is transferable no matter the size of your home, of your space. And also, though, it's for me. Like a place of joy for me, because I think for many of our listeners, we create places for other people, or we have them in mind, and we're not necessarily thinking about what gives me joy. And this pattern and these colors might give me joy. And so this one little chair or this wallpapered accent wall or whatever it is is going to be a reminder to me every time I walk by it that I deserve joy and that I have agency and I can invest in things that give me joy. It's that physical reminder of those things that I need them.
Mhm.
And it's my time to make them happen.
Mm. Wow, now I see why you're called Our Time to Rise, because you are unapologetically building women up to declare things that we have associated with so much shame and guilt for. So truly, when we prioritize our mental health and our emotional health, we inadvertently prioritize everything else in our lives as well. Because if those two things, and our spiritual lives as well, if those three things are compromised, oh, you can bet it's going to leak out into every other priority that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% it does. So, can you just give a little snapshot of your book for people who want to dive in more to this conversation?
Yes. I will say it is a book about how to move on from trauma. So a lot of people don't know that they have trauma. And I really hope that the opening of this book will help define that for you and help validate the pain that you've been neglecting or deflecting your whole life. But I would like to kind of read a quote from the book. And I think this pretty much sums up my entire message in the book. It is that you are not doomed to a miserable life because of your painful past. There is still hope for you, no matter what you did or what has been done to you. And I truly hope that the book will become your greatest ally on this journey of healing.
Amen to that, Anne. Amen to that.
Mhm.
Thank you for being on today. And of course, we will also I'd like to share your cross from your
Oh, yes.
wall. So that's your place of hope, right? Where the
Mhm.
cross is. So I'd like to share that in the show notes. So we'll have to connect on that and make sure we have a picture of it.
For sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you for being with us. Thank you for helping us to reset our homes and our hearts for fall.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.